Kính thưa đại chúng, hôm nay là ngày 8 tháng 11 năm 2012. Chúng ta đang ở tại thiền đường Hội Ngàn Sao, Xóm Hà của Làng Mai. Và hôm nay là ngày đầu, buổi pháp thoại đầu của khóa tu An Cư Kết Đông 2012-2013. Đúng không? Trong mấy chục năm nay, 30-40 năm nay, chưa có ai hỏi Thầy là 10 cái động tác chánh niệm nó từ đâu tới. Vì Tổ Đạo đã truyền lại 10 cái động tác chánh niệm. Em Tăng Tâm Muội chắc là hết sức ngạc nhiên khi biết rằng 10 cái động tác chánh niệm này là từ một nhà triết gia người Anh. Ông ta cũng là một nhà giáo dục và cũng là một nhà xã hội học. Tên ông là tổ sư của 10 động tác chánh niệm. Spencer là một nhà triết gia rất là đặc biệt, và ông không có chủ trương nói, mà ông chủ trương phải làm những gì mình nói. Cái điều này rất là hiếm ở xã hội Tây Phương. Ở Tây Phương triết học là chỉ nói thôi, không có chịu đem ra làm. Nó có một cái sự chia cắt giữa cái nói và cái làm. A split kind of system giữa cái nói và cái làm. Ở Tây Phương có hai vị nổi bật là không chỉ nói mà quyết tâm làm những điều mình nói. Đó là Schopenhauer, người Đức, và Herbert Spencer, người Anh. Vào khoảng 60 năm về trước, Thầy đã tiếp thu được 10 động tác chánh niệm từ Herbert Spencer, nhưng mà Thầy có thêm thắt vào. Thầy thêm vào nhiều lắm. Thứ nhất là Thầy làm cho nó nhu nhuyễn ra, tức là nó mềm ra. Mềm ra, nhu nhuyễn ra. Thứ hai là Thầy kết hợp hơi thở với từng động tác. Cái này là không có trong nguyên bản. Kết hợp với hơi thở.
In the original teaching of the mindful movement offered by Spencer. And make it more soft, flexible,
kết hợp
graceful.
cái động tác
And I combine the breathing with action.
Và thứ ba là làm cho
The third one
nó liên tục hơn.
To make it continuous.
Liên tục hơn.
This one, follow another one.
Ví dụ như là
gracefully.
Mình làm một vòng thở
So
vào,
like I breathe in,
rồi thở ra đó.
And breathe out.
Thì theo cái nguyên bản của Spencer là tới thở ra,
according
thở vào
to
trở lui.
And Spencer do it again.
Rồi thở ra trở lui. Thì Thầy muốn làm cho nó liên tục hơn, để cho nó
So I want to do it more,
tạo hạnh phúc nhiều hơn.
More continuous, so
rồi vào để đi tiếp thôi.
In,
Đó là cái mới.
So that is a new thing.
Cái động tác
And
này,
so that he asked me to do like
một vòng xong rồi nó không có đi
so
lui trở lại mà nó đi
and
tiếp.
Spencer want to turn it back, but I do it continuously in one sense, and then after three or four times, and then I do it again in the other direction. But the movement will
Thứ
be
tư là
continuous
nó có chánh niệm.
on one side or for another side.
Cái này là một cái rất là đặc biệt.
The fourth
Tại
one
vì
is the is mindfulness.
những cái động
And
tác
that is
kia
very
là
important.
những động tác nhằm cái mục đích là để có sức khỏe.
And the other one
Còn đây là
offered
phải
by
thực tập
Spencer
chánh niệm.
is in order
Tức
to
là mình phối
give
hợp
you
chánh
more
niệm với động
health.
tác đó. Vì vậy cho nên
But
mình gọi động tác
here,
đó là động tác
I
chánh niệm.
want you to do it in more mindfulness.
Và cái thứ năm nữa là mình làm không phải là để cho tương lai.
And we
Không
do
để
it. And the
phải là để
fifth
có
one,
hạnh phúc
we do
hay
not
có
do
sức
it
khỏe
for
trong tương
the
lai. Mình
future.
làm để cho có
We
cái hạnh
want
phúc
to
ngay
do
trong hiện
that
tại.
in order to be pleasant right away,
Tức là
now
trong
and
khi mà
here.
mình làm những động tác đó,
So
mình phải làm như thế nào
when
để
you
mình có hạnh phúc trong cái làm.
mindfully
Chứ không phải là làm cái này cực
and you
khổ
send the
để
energy
sau này có được cái hạnh phúc của sức
making
khỏe mạnh.
happier, flexible, that part of your body. So we do it for to be pleasant right here and now, but not to wait for the future to be healthy.
Thì có chánh niệm thì tức là có hạnh phúc rồi.
When you have mindfulness,
Ví dụ như khi
you
mà thầy đưa cái tay lên như thế này,
move my hand up
mà có chánh niệm thì
with
thầy có thể thấy được
mindfulness,
nhiều chuyện lắm.
I
Ví
can
dụ
see
là
many
những người
things like
cùng thế hệ với thầy,
and those in the same
bây giờ
generation than
phần lớn
me,
đều đã đi rồi.
already
Và
gone,
những người còn ở lại thì rất là yếu,
ashes or something
làm đưa tay
everywhere.
lên cũng được, đưa
And
xuống
those in my
không có
age
được
who
như
still
thầy.
alive cannot
Và có những
move
người
their
đang ngồi xe
hand.
lăn,
Many of
không có làm
them
được
sit
như vậy nữa.
on the
Thành ra
wheelchair.
có chánh niệm nó làm
So
cho mình
with
thấy
the
rất là hạnh phúc
mindfulness,
khi
I
đưa tay
feel
lên,
that I
khi
can
đưa tay xuống,
move
và mình
up
có hạnh
and
phúc liền
down.
ngay lúc đó.
And
Chứ không
right
phải là làm
away,
xong rồi mới có hạnh phúc.
I'm so happy, and I feel that I can do it for me and
Ví
for
dụ
all
như
of them.
mình bị gãy
For
chân,
instance, if we have a broken leg,
mình làm sao mà đưa cái chân lên được.
and so how you can
Nhưng bây giờ cái chân mình lay rồi, lạnh rồi. Thành ra mình
your
nghĩ tới,
legs,
mình
but
có chánh niệm,
now you can
mình so
move
sánh
up.
được rằng
And so,
cái hồi
even
mình
you
bị
are
gãy
young,
chân
but
đó,
you said that
đâu làm được
in the
như vậy.
time where I have
Bây giờ
a
làm được như
broken
vậy
leg,
là
I
quá
cannot
sướng.
move. But now I can move
Hạnh phúc có liền
and
tức.
I have
Có
joy
đặc biệt.
right away, happiness
Thành ra ông
right
tổ
away.
này á,
So that
được
patriarch
thầy thêm
Spencer
vào những cái này
have
nữa, thành ra
been
10 động tác chánh
continued
niệm
by
nó trở
me
thành
with
ra
plus
cái
mindfulness
thực tập của làng
and a
Mai
number of things that
40
I
năm này.
practice. And that is the practice of plum village
Trong đạo
and
Bụt
then
người ta
during the
thường nói
last
là Phật
40
Pháp
years.
là được làm bằng thế gian Pháp.
And so in Buddhism we say that
Buddhism is made of
the
non-Buddhist
Buddhism is
elements.
made of non-Buddhist element.
Vì vậy cho nên bất cứ một cái pháp
And
nào
so
trong thế gian
any
mà nếu
element
mình biết
in
sử
the
dụng
world, if
thì mình
you
cũng làm thành
know
Phật
how
pháp
to
hết.
use it, you make it Dhamma,
Bây giờ quý vị biết
Dhamma
nguồn gốc của
Dhamma
10 động tác
practice.
chánh niệm rồi.
And so you know the root
Có
of
tổ Spencer trong đó.
there is Spencer Patriarch in that.
Có một lần thầy đi
One time
xem một cuộc triển lãm ở
I visit
San
an
Diego.
exhibition in
Một
San
triển lãm
Diego.
họ triển lãm toàn là sách giấy.
In that San Diego
Và
exhibition
những người
museum,
tổ chức triển lãm họ
they
họ ướp
exhibit
những
a
xác
lot of corpses.
của
Those who
hàng trăm,
are
hàng mấy
already
trăm cái
died,
xác
but
của những người trẻ.
many hundred, they're young,
Và họ trình bày trong một
less young everywhere, and then they present in the
cái
way
nơi
that
mà mình đi
you can
vào
see the
thì
color of the
giống như
red,
đi vào trong một cái
and so you
buổi
enter
quán niệm, một buổi thực tập
into that museum. You have the impression that you
xác
are
của những
entering
người
into
con trai,
deep
xác
meditation
của con
hall,
gái.
because
Mà
there's a
họ
corpse
ướp
of
rất là
a
khéo,
young person, a young man,
còn
young
giữ lại
woman,
được
and
những
it
cái
looked
vẻ
very fresh.
cứng cáp,
And the
đẹp đẽ
strength
của người trẻ.
of that young man, of the vigor
Họ
of
để
that
một
young
cái,
woman, and then how their
có
heart
một cái chỗ họ
beat,
để
many things,
họ để
very
cái xác ở đó
alive.
đang
And you
đứng ở
see
trong tư thế đánh
one
golf.
one man is
Nó rất là hùng
about
tráng,
to
rất đẹp,
play
nhưng mà người đó
golf
cứng đờ.
action golf, but
Và đó là những cái
put
xác
it
người thật,
is
họ giữ lại y
true
nguyên như vậy.
corpse.
Và
When they
trong khi mà mình
they
đi
keep very
qua triển
fresh,
lãm,
very
mình thấy
with
rằng
all the
đây là
color.
vô thường. Mình là người
And
trẻ,
then you go like
mình
that,
cũng
you
có thể
see that
biết được những ngày này.
life is so impermanent. You are still young, but you can die like that young man, that young woman. And having that body, that health, we can walk, we can jump, we can bend down, we can lift up your head. You must be happy. Don't wait until your body will be immobile like that corpse. And mindfulness is to remember that tends to mindfulness, that you treasure what you are having now. And the happiness is made by that mindfulness. So in Plum Village, we use to say that mindfulness is the source of happiness. We do not run to search for happiness in reputation, fame, money, sex, and so on. So mindfulness is an illimited source of happiness. Spencer is that's philosopher Spencer think that the evolution of all species on earth is come from homogeneity. It's become heterogeneity. It means become too complicated. So at the beginning it's very simple and evolute until it's become very complicated. So yesterday during the request of reviews, and we agree that this winter retreat we have to practice properly the walking meditation. If we practice 100% walking meditation, but if you walk halfway, you will not be successful. And when you are successful on walking meditation, and then you can be successful in other practice of mindfulness. So this winter retreat, monastic or not monastic, you have to practice 100% of walking meditation. When you start to walk, already 100%, wherever you go, here, to the toilet room, or everywhere, you do it mindfully. Because we live in the world where we are easily to the past, to the future, and especially our mind and our thinking. Sometimes thinking can lead you to something deep too, but usually the majority of the thinking, the majority of thoughts always pull you in different direction and make you disperse, make you really disperse, and you are carried away by dispersion. You think a lot of things in a very complicated, miscellaneous way. And in order to stop, I don't know if dừng is been offered, but dừng is stop your mind not to go in different direction. How you can stop your thoughts? The only thing that you bring your thought to the in breath and out breath and in breath and out breath, and so your mind is only focused on one thing, in breath and out breath, instead of your irritation, of your judgment, of that what happened in the past, what happened next hour, so on. So you only focus on the in breath and out breath, and you make one step. So you pay attention on your in and out breath and the contact of your step to the ground, and so kind of fixing your mind to the in breath and out breath and the contact of your step. And so you stop thinking, you stop to be dispersed, and you can dwell in that in breath and out breath, and 10 minutes or 15 minutes up to you, And in the Soto
tư
Zen,
duy
Soto Zen, it means
cái
the
mà mình
patriarch
không
is
có
Soto,
tư
Tao
duy
Động.
được.
In Vietnamese,
Làm
Tao
sao tư
Động.
duy.
And Tao Động
Rồi
said
là
that
tư duy trong đó là tư lương. Tư lượng.
he said that tư duy, tư lượng.
Tư là tư duy, lượng là đo lường.
The second word is yep. You cannot. And then when you think, how you can think of something is not thinkable, and how you can conceive how that you cannot conceive. No thinking is the secret of meditation, according to Tao Dong, Soto, Zen Master. No thinking. So when we walk, so we have to practice no thinking. Your mind is rest totally on the in-breath, rest totally on the out-breath. Feel to you. The deep vision is tuệ, or insight is also tuệ. So deep vision will help you to see clearly the reality as it is, and you are free of all the criterion, the judgment, etc. So you start thinking, and the reality reveal to you, and you have freedom. Thảnh thơi in Vietnamese, it means you have freedom.
Nó là moksha. Nó là
moksha, vimukti.
Thảnh thơi, tự do,
thảnh thơi,
không có bị ràng buộc.
Tự do.
Không có bị
it means freedom. It means you are not pulled by something, or you are not suppressed. You have a lot of space. And having space, you are happier. You are not linked by that irritation, linked by the stress, linked by the judgment, linked by what happened a few hours ago, or the past, very heavy past. And we always pull to the past, and then so-called shoo the past. It means let you be carried away by the past and suffer a lot. And so there is a young person have been sexually abused when she was a little child, and that suffering has been marked in her deep consciousness, and in her daily activities, she has not much. She can also see life, but in a very superficial way. She do not see the depth of the blue skies, the depth of the singing of the bird, the singing of the wind, the blooming of the flower, because she was caught by her suffering of the past, of that painful past. So for the painful past will not make an obstruction to your freedom. So you have to stop to think of the past, letting go. Okay. And sometimes you need a practitioner, co-practitioner, to remind you, to say that is happened to the past. It's just wounded in the past, and now you are safe. You are in a very safe area. and you are strong. You are no longer the victim of that oppressor. So there is no longer that past is already gone. It's an accident. But that terrible past is like a movie. Is running in the mind of the victim, and that film is continue to stay in the consciousness, and that we used to look at the film and cry, and then there's many joyful things, but you don't pay attention. Oh, you pay, but you pay attention in very superficial way. You do not really enjoy, because even you enjoy the best moment of your life, but still there is that movies underneath who play, and then you will never have a perfect freedom. You have some superficial freedom, but you have been dominated by these underground movies. So when you breathe in, so your mind dwell on the air entering from the nostril to in, full of your lungs. And so if your mind totally dwell on the in breath from the beginning to the end of the in breath, and so you can release your past suffering. So your mind is pointed only one point. Your mind have only one object of observation. It means so your mind is totally with the air entering, refresh your lungs, spread out your body. And so you have 4 seconds. Let's say 4 seconds where you release your past, and your future is the same. You have that excited things to do, or that fear, that uncertainty. Tomorrow, what happened to me? And then there's many worries about uncertainty in the future, and it doesn't arrive, but it's already play a big role and it's obstruct your freedom. And so the past or the future is always links that lie, that bind you, and then you cannot enjoy the total freedom. So when you pay attention totally on your in breath and out breath, and you only dwell on the in breath and out breath, you are dissociate with that underground suffering or that uncertainty in the future, and you have at least freedom of 4 seconds, and then the second in breath and out breath 8 seconds, and then 12 seconds and 1 minute. So you have, and so you get free of all these links. And so thinking usually pull you to the past or pull you to the future. But stop the thinking is very important in order to be free. And so concentration, mindfulness is to bring your mind in the present moment and be totally with the present moment. Stop the thinking only with the action of the present moment, and then you have mindfulness, and then your mind is more concentrated, not dispersed. And more you practice like that, more the concentration increases, and more you are free. And when you are free, you can enjoy what is fresh, what is wonderful in the present moment. And so each of us is a kind of so-called soldier. That soldier will have to fight to cut on these links to the past, on that sword of understanding, to cut on the suffering in the past, or the excitement and the regret in the past, or to cut the worries, uncertainty in the future. And you have that freedom, and you don't need to practice 20 years in order to have that liberation. That liberation you can obtain right away after many in breath and out breath and in breath, and you can have it right now. And so when you sit alone And then you can talk to the little child in you, the inner child in you. The inner child have many wounds, and thương tích is wound, and they pull you to the past in order to again. Yum yum is not enjoy, but it means shoe your past, shoe your past, your suffering in the past, and then the more you shoe the suffering in the past, more the wounds increase. And so you look at the little child and you say that, dear my little child, I know that you have been deeply wounded, but you must know that I am also you. I am your adult self. I'm not another person. I'm another, but I am your adult self. And I tell you that what you suffer is the past, is gone, and the present moment is so wonderful. And the blue is so beautiful, the sky is so beautiful, the flower is so beautiful, the tree are so wonderful, and there is so many sunshine, everything is wonderful, and you have to enjoy and to be free of on the past. And living in the Sangha is helping you to be liberated. So among the members of the Sangha, somebody discovered that you are so sad, and she said, oh, enjoy the present moment. Yeah. And so she wake you up, or he wake you up, so that you can be in touch with the here and the now, right here, and liberate yourself from that suffering past, or that uncertainty, that worries in the future. So each of us is a soldier with a wonderful sword of understanding. The sword of understanding is in order to cut that suffering of the past, cut the uncertainty, the worries, the depression about the future, because there's nothing to enjoy, and so on. So you cut on the suffering of the past, the wound of the past, and fear of the future. So when you walk and you speak, and so you are carried away by the conversation, and so you have no chance to struggle for peace, for freedom. You have no time to cut on this suffering, that link, that complexity of the past, of the future. And so if you have that freedom, and you have an, lạc. An is peace, lạc is happiness. So you have peace and happiness.
Thì mình biết rằng an và lạc không phải là những cái xa vời mà mình chỉ đạt được trong sau 6 năm.
Oh, we know that peace and happiness is something very far away, and you need to practice 5 years, 10 years in order to achieve it. More you stop thinking, you dwell peacefully, stably, with stability in the present moment, more you can be in touch with many wonders of life, and you are happier, and you have more peace. So in Vietnam, there is 3 things that we try to search: độc lập, independence, tự do. Độc lập is independence, tự do is freedom, and hạnh phúc is happiness. Độc lập. We can enjoy in our way, our spiritual way. Độc lập, independence, it means I'm free. I'm free from the past, free from the future, free from our passion, pulling me far away from the reality of here and now, and be in touch. So you must be independent of the past, of the future, in order to be free right now and here, and enjoy the present. You are not dependent to another person. So you are not dependent from other things, like without that I cannot be happy, without that PhD I cannot be happy, without that woman or that man I cannot be happy. That's you have to be really be independent. And so you have to ask to yourself, I am independent, or do I ask to have him or her in order to be happy? Do you have real independence? So you have real independence, you have freedom. And so you have freedom, it means you are not attached by that past, that wound, that worries, that uncertainty, that fear, etc. So when you are free of other things, you are so happy to be in touch with the deep beauty of the present moment. So all the politicians, they practice for independence, liberty and happiness, but it seems that they don't have that at all, or very little happiness or little independence. So in France, they also have the criterion for the French Republic: liberty, brotherhood, égalité. Liberty, brotherhood, sisterhood, and égalité is equality. If you look at in our spiritual way, in the depth way, liberty is like independence. It means you are free of all the past, the future. You are not bound by, you are not linked by that passion and hurt, hatred, anger. So do you have that freedom? We work for what kind of freedom? That is not a freedom, political freedom, but a real freedom in your way of acting, speaking, looking things. How much freedom I have? How much freedom I have? You have to ask yourself, how much freedom I have from my affliction. It means my worries, my anxiety, my suffering, my uncertainty, my depression, my anger, and that deep wound in the past, etc. So you must have your freedom. Your freedom is a practice. It's not a gift somebody can give you, sent by post office, but even with express mail. You have to acquire it by yourself, by the training. Brotherhood and sisterhood is very important. But in France, the educator, the politician, do they build brotherhood and sisterhood? In Plum Village, we know that brotherhood and sisterhood is the most important. Without brotherhood and sisterhood, we cannot go far. You cannot realize your dream, your aspiration of service. So in Plum Village, you are advised everything you act, everything you speak is for building more sisterhood, more brotherhood. And without brotherhood and sisterhood, you cannot go far. In the year 2005, I was invited back to Vietnam after 40 years of being exiled. And so the journalist asked me, what do you want to declare about Vietnam? And after Shandugon, they asked me like that. Arrived to Vietnam, they also asked the same question. I did say that I just make my first step in Vietnam after 40 years. I have not seen anything. I don't want to declare anything. Because I just arrived. How I can declare and see something and make any comments. I just arrived. How you want me to declare? But it seems that I can say something. What I said, that brotherhood and sisterhood is the highest. Uncle Ho Chi Minh said that this is not more important than the independence and freedom, but for me the most precious is brotherhood and sisterhood. Even Uncle Ho said that the most precious is independence and liberty, but I cannot say like that. For me, brotherhood and sisterhood. Without brotherhood and sisterhood, you cannot do anything. You cannot go far. If you ask in Plum Village, if all the brother and sister and lay people, we have no brotherhood and sisterhood. We cannot organize any retreat. Because sisterhood, brotherhood is so important. And without sisterhood and brotherhood, you cannot work together. It's a real love to each other. And so the first retreat for monastic in Hue, in Vietnam, where I led, we said that the title is Building Brotherhood and Sisterhood. And so that for me, that is the nature of the monastic life. When we look deep into the way the monastic life during the time of Buddha, all the big brother take good care of the young brother everywhere. And in French, the word fraternité means also Sangha. Sanghahood. It means the Sangha. Sangha is a group of people practicing together. And so if we have a group of brother and sister living, there is brotherhood, there is sisterhood. And in Buddhism, we have the word Lop Hoa is a sixth way of living in concord, in a good concord. So we share our insight, we share our thought. Iwa is our thoughts. Kiến Hoa Đồng Giải is only we share our insight. It means that it's sixth way of living in concord. And that is in Buddhism. We say that wherever you live as 4 or 5 brothers, 4 or 5 sisters, you can write a sixth way to live in concord. And so if you have friends, try to look deep. These 3 words are so beautiful, but we have to look deeper, and you live. And when the politicians try to insult each other, it's no brotherhood at all. And then you tell many unkind things to each other. And even in the same party, brotherhood is so important. Sisterhood is so important, so we have to do. So you have to build up the brotherhood in your political party, in your political group. And equality also is here. We are born equal. We are born equal. We are not born as a noble people, like a very poor, illiterate people. If we poor, we are born equally. But in fact, looking deeply is not so easily. If we are born from a very poor mother, ignored by the father, and so you may have no chance to go to school. And there are those who are born, but they are also mother and father, but they have no chance like other children. the fact that when we are born, we are equal is not exactly the same. It's not exactly clear. So equality here means is not the same talent or the having to enjoy things equally. No, there are many so wealthy people and so unfair because born so poor. So communism, it means we try to practice to achieve to everything belong equally, the properties equally, the powers equally. But in fact, many country of communists like China or Vietnam, the rich people are very rich and the poor are very poor. In Vietnam, that we are very certain that there are those who are very poor and those who are very rich. So the word of equality, so we have to understand that same condition. Even you are born in the south or the north, you are born from the very poor family, a very wealthy family, you are born from a family of a humble worker, or you are born from a very wealthy family, you must have the chance to be equal. You need to have some cup of milk. To me, in Vietnam, there's many children who have no milk, even the milk of their mother, because the mother is sick. The mother is sick, poor, and have many difficulty. So the child become rachitic and cannot grow high. And many Vietnamese are thin and small. My sister loved you. Maybe because she has not enough milk. And we have some social worker. We are social worker in Vietnam in our program of understanding and love. We go to the poor, remote area. Every child must have 1 cup of milk, soya milk. And then our dream is only to do that. That's what the dream of Plum Village is very small. We wish that every child in the poor, in the past, if I have enough milk, I'm not so small like that. I can be taller. Yeah, some physician told Thailand, you are a little bit rachitic. So we have to equality, you have to equal on occasion, good opportunity. So it's our dream. So every child must have enough food, enough milk, and have a chance to study elementary school, high school, university, high training education. So that dream, how we can do it with our brotherhood and sisterhood. With brotherhood and sisterhood, we have that strength, and to work for realize that real equality, this real liberty inside of ourselves and liberty outside of ourselves, and free from the past and free from the future. And with that strength, we continue to work for more political freedom. And so, in our daily activities, we used to be pushed in the place where we have to make a decision. Decision. That's time you have to say yes or no. You are pushed in the situation, you must say yes or no, and you decide very quick. But in the moment where you are not free, If we come to a determination, a decision, when you are not free, you are not very happy, you are not clear in your mind, and that will lead you to a very bad situation, like you are linked by all your anger, linked by your jealousy, linked by that fear, and then you make a decision. So that decision will never lead to a good situation because you have no freedom. When you commit suicide, because you think you have been dominated by a despair feeling, desperate feeling. Sometimes we kill ourselves in order to punish the other person, in order for him to know, you know, that is, I punish you. It's a way of to punish him or her for behave in such a way to me. And so our practice is to be free from that idea to punish, free from that idea to retaliate, or free from that fear and that uncertainty. And so if you are free, you forget that you are free from the past, free from the future. You breathe in joyfully, out, and be in touch with what is still very positive around you and inside of you. And then when you have more freedom, and then you will go to a decision. So the principle is not to make a decision when you have no freedom. And so you have to make a determination now, a decision now. No, I'm sorry, I have no freedom now. I am not free yet in my mind, and I cannot decide. And so when you make a decision, a wrong decision, and you suffer on your life, and you make other person suffer. So your liberty is a very important element for your happiness. So in our practice, there is a practice of dwelling on your breathing and your walking. So this winter retreat, I request you only one thing, to practice properly on walking meditation. When you walk, you stop talking. It's okay, of course, that is outside way, but inside also stop to think too, and be free of a number of what happened in the past, the future. You enjoy right away the present moment and enjoy what is positive. Sometimes you don't enjoy right away the present moment because it's rain, but you look deeper. Oh, so many trees and grass will benefit from that rain, and so you are happy too. So your practice is to walk in a way that every step will give you more freedom, more peace, more joy, more happiness. So, and you see that every step will make you so happy. And so you have peace, you have freedom. It's already Nirvana. Nirvana is the absence of all the suffering. Vắng mặt, absence of suffering, phiền não, affliction. Yep. All the worries and anxiety. And don't say Nirvana is something far away, something abstract. It's the freedom, that is the absence of anxiety, worries, fear, anger. And you can attain Nirvana by your breathing and by your walking And when you need to share something, you stop. And you talk a lot as you wish. But then after you finish talking, and then you go back to your peace, your freedom, and you walk mindfully. And so after talking, and then you start to walk. And when you walk, you only enjoy the present moment. So you have to do it one time in the time. Don't do two things in one time. Like you catch a fish with one hand, and then you will not catch. So it's the same. When you see you are doing that, but the other start to talk to you, you just smile and bow to him, and then she and he will remember. Today, chân trời biểu hiện was leading walking meditation. After he lead the meditation in Up Hamlet, and after the sitting meditation and walking in the meditation hall, he read that sentence. This during the retreat we practice not to talk when we walk, and then every step can bring us more peace, more happiness. And Chang Tra Biêu Hiền have read that sentence for the whole Sangha in Up Hamlet.
Khóa tu của chúng ta có cái đề tài là chúng ta có phải là những người tri kỷ của Bụt hay không? Chúng ta có hiểu Bụt hay không?
Our winter retreat have the title, Are you the soulmate of the Buddha? In fact, people misunderstood the Buddha a lot. Not only those who are outside of his Sangha, his monastic Sangha too, many monks misunderstood him. And it has been written in many sutras. The Buddha didn't teach like that, but they said that he taught like that. But these people are not outsiders. They are monastic of the Buddha, the monk of the Buddha Sangha. So the question is, are you a soulmate of the Buddha? That is the question. So the theme of the retreat, you have to ask every day, every act, every speech. You have to practice in such a way that to be very humble. The main point is to be humble. That are you practice correctly as a soulmate of the Buddha, or you just misinterpret him, and you interpret wrongly what he means. And so there is many methods, phương pháp, methods that the Buddha, many patriarchs have transmitted to us. In the West, there is many Western scholars who can be very, very great in Pali, in Sanskrit, in Chinese, and they translate. They have been the translator of many sutras. It means texts given by the Buddha, but they can make many mistakes. After 30 years, 50 years, they have been a scholar learning Buddhism, and they still misunderstood the Buddha a lot. Because the way of thinking, we are caught by some mold, some construction of our mind, that we see things in the way that is not the deep desire of the Buddha want to share. And so in Buddhism, many patriarchs have transmitted to us a number of practice methods that we can use it in order to see whether we really understand the Buddha. First one is the 4 criterion. Tiêu chuẩn criterion.
Cái này là phương pháp học là methodology.
That's a methodology that
tứ tất đàn.
Tứ tất đàn. Đàn hay đàn?
Đàn.
Tứ tất đàn.
Siddhanta.
That's the Chinese word and then the Sanskrit word. Siddhanta. Four criterion on the truth. Sự thật, the truth.
Tại vì trong khi mình đọc kinh,
because during when we read a sutra, a text given by the Buddha, and sometimes we see that the teaching here and other part of the text, it seems like contradictory, and you are a little bit lost, hoang mang, lost. You don't know why the Buddha said like that, and in other part he said differently. So we are a little bit lost, and so we need that criterion. So first criterion is
là thế gian tất đàn.
Thế gian tất đàn.
Hoặc là thế giới
worldly
tất đàn.
Way of seeing things.
Có nghĩa là những cái thấy của thế gian nó như vậy.
The way of seeing things, the worldly view.
Quan niệm của thế gian như vậy thì mình phải tùy thuận theo.
But sometimes we have to go in accordance to that. We have to follow the way of people speak or view like that.
Tại vì nếu mình không có,
because if you
mình không có nói được ở trong cái,
if you don't use the language of the world, and then you cannot transmit your wisdom.
Của thế gian thì người ta không có thể hiểu được.
And if you do not speak the language of the world, they cannot understand what you mean.
Cái văn mạch tức là cái context của thế gian.
In the context of the world,
mình cũng phải tùy thuận theo như vậy.
We have to go in accordance to that.
Nói,
for instance, when the Buddha said,
Thầy Anand ơi,
Dear Anand,
thầy đi chơi với tôi, thầy đi thiền hành với tôi.
Make a walk with me.
Chữ tôi với thầy.
And he used the word I and you.
Tức là dùng cái ngã.
So I must be a self. You have a self. And I and you, it means I am different from you. I have a different self. And we go together to the hill, to the up of the hill, to the summit of the hill. So, but the Buddha taught that you have no self. You don't have a separate self. You have no self. And he has no self. And if you don't use the word, the worldly language, Anand, it's another self. You go with me, another self, two self go together to the summit of the hill. Even he used that, but he do not mean that he has a totally separate self from Ananda. Ananda. And the world, they said that the sky is high and the earth is thick. And we also said that. And the worldly said that he is up, he is down. But the true, and when like we sit here, we think that upper part is the up and here is down. But those who sit in the other side of the planet, and they say that in that is up for them, and that is down for them. So it means here is up down for this corner of the planet, but other corner of the planet is different. It's also a truth, but a truth, relative truth. The second, but the second, các vị nhân,
tức là mỗi những cái điều mình nói đó, nói
every things that we speak to each person, you have to speak differently.
Đối với người này thì phải nói như
With
vậy.
that person, you have to speak in that way. But another person, you have to speak different way. It depends on your deep look, and you see how she perceive and he perceive, and so you make more in that way, and you make with other person, they can be profound, and you speak differently. So, yeah. So one day there is one person asked the Buddha, that person when he passed away, do you think that he will go to where, which heaven, etc.? And the Buddha can say that, oh, maybe he's born in the Tushita heaven or Doshuk heaven, and other person come and ask the Buddha, when that friend died, where he go? And the Buddha said that no, he would not go anywhere. And so they said that, oh, the Buddha, why you spoke to other monks that you said that he go to or Tushita or, but with the other one, and then you speak differently. And the Buddha said that it depends on each person. If that person is freer enough, so you have to speak like that. If the other one are caught by a number of wrong perception, and if I spoke like the other person, so he can be lost. So I have to speak accordingly to the mind and the way I see the ability of that person to receive of what I share. So in Buddhism, we have a belief on retribution, on karma, and the fruit of your action. And so, when you sow something, you harvest that. So gặt, harvest. And if you do not have a self, how you can sow and how you can harvest? If you say about sowing, and you sow some bad seeds, bad action, and then you receive bad retribution. And so, or you sow a good action, and then you receive a good retribution, good karma. And so, that is, but there is no self inside. So there is no one who sow and no one to harvest. And so there is a kind of contradiction, contradiction, and will not go. The teaching of non-self will not go together with retribution, with the cause of the karma and fruit of the karma. And those who have deep insight, have been practiced for a long time, so that person can understand that retribution can go, good harvest, good retribution, or bad harvest, bad karma can go, but you don't need to have a separate self. So some sutra said that the one who caused a bad action and receive bad retribution is one person or different. If the one who create bad action, bad karma, and it's the same than the person who receive the bad fruit, so you are caught in the separate self, and then you are caught in the sameness. Because we already learned non-dualities, no sameness, no the same, but no sameness, no different. Not the same, but not different. But the ultimate dimension is no the same, but not different. So those who sow the wind, and those who receive the typhoon, and so you are caught in the sameness. It means one unique person who saw that, and he will receive that. So there is one person send a pot of milk to that woman, and he went, he walked about, he come back to the end of the day, and so where's my pot of milk? And in that, the milk has become a lot of butter and cheese or something, but it's, and he said, no, I give you milk, but she gave me back only butter and cheese, and so milk and butter is sameness or otherness. Phi nhất, phi dị is a criterion of not the same, but not different.
Otherness.
Dị is different. So not the same, not different.
Thì nếu mình nói,
so if you say
cái người gieo,
the one who sow the seeds and the one who harvests the fruit of this, and then you are caught in the self.
Người gieo hạt với người gặt hái là hai người khác nhau, thì anh vướng vào.
And if you say that two different things, is different is also wrong, and the same is also wrong. Thường means permanent. You think that self continue to be eternally the same person.
Còn cái đoạn á,
đoạn mean
là cái
annihilation.
Và cả cái thường và thường kiến của đoàn kiến đều là những cái tà kiến.
And so eternalism or annihilation is heretic thoughts, heretic thinking. But for the beginners, you must say that, well, you sow bad seed, you receive bad karma, bad retribution. And so for those who are at the first step, we have to accept them like that. But for those who are deeper, more profound, and you have to look deeper, and you have, there is no permanent. And so các vị, the second settlement, the teaching distribute to people, and it depends on the receiver, the degree of wisdom of the receiver.
Căn cơ và khả năng của từng người.
It means the base, the basic background, the basic background and the ability. Khả năng is ability.
Còn cái thế gian tất đàng là nó giống như conventional.
Thế gian tất đàng is conventional reality, in the conventional way of explaining. And the second one is according to the background, the ability of reception of the person you speak. So the third one is
đối trị, tức là người nào có bệnh nào thì cho thuốc đó.
And it means that you have to prescribe the real medicine for which disease. If you give a wrong medicine, the other person can die. So for that person, you give that medicine. But for other person, he died. Even when we have attachment, you have a craving, there is despair. But you are the Dharma teacher for yourself. And you are a big brother, sister in the Sangha. You need to give the right medicine, the right teaching. One day, the Buddha said that about impermanence, suffering, and then there's quite a number of monks commit suicide because our life is so impermanent, many suffering, and so the first way of explaining is so don't think that you are Dhamma teacher, so you repeat exactly like that. You do not know the mind, the background of that person, and you give the same teaching, it may be wrong, it may not appropriate. So, Keka means adapt. Yeah. It could be adapt to the base of the background of that person. Adapt to the background of that person. Keka, it means adapt to the background of that person. And Keli, but adapt to background, but you must have also Keli, it means adapt to the true teaching. Don't use any worldly lie or way to help. It's not Keli, and you can Keka, but not Keli, it's not good. And so you have to use the appropriate way, but not go far from the teaching of the Buddha. And the Chiu Chou Zen master said that every species on earth will have the Buddha nature. So it's for people not to have the complex and don't think that you are of the nature, never will be the Buddha. The other are very intelligent, they will be Buddha, and you always be the young sister for all your life. No, don't have that. So there is one young novice came and asked him, the dog have the Buddha nature, and in principle the dog must have the Buddha nature, but the way he came to show up that he understood what his teacher said yesterday. And he came, and the Buddha, the teacher Chiu Chou have seen that there's a lot of pride and of in him, and in order to show up, and in order to say that I know everything, I'm very best student of you. So, and some question and answer, sometimes they come in order not to ask anything, and come and to declare something to show that she understands like that. So does the dog have the Buddha nature? Chiu Chou said that no. And it's a shock to wake him up. If the Chiu Chou said that, yes, of course, the dog have Buddha nature, and you are very bright. But the teacher said no. And so the Chiu Chou is give the medicine accordingly to each person. So there is one man, he belonged to the Jain tradition. Do you have
thầy An Nam hỏi tại sao Đức Thế Tôn không có trả lời.
And he asked whether you have a self.
Có ngã không, ngài cũng trả lời. Có phải là không có ngã không, ngài cũng trả lời.
And you said that there's no self. He asked whether you have a self. And the Jain, Jainism man who came and asked,
hỏi có ngã không thì ngài cũng im lặng.
Do you have a self? He keeps silent. And do you have a self? No. You have no self. He keeps silent. And Ananda asked the Buddha why you didn't say having a self. But he asked, do you have no self? You also keep silent. So Ananda asked the Buddha said that if I say that there is self,
lâu nay mình tưởng mình có ngã, bây giờ không có ngã làm sao?
And so I know that he's caught. And so if I say no self, he will suffer a lot. But if I say yes, even we say that no self is correctly without teaching, but if he's so short background, and if we say that no self, and he will be lost. And so he keeps silent. Not self, not no self. So the fourth criterion,
để nhất nghĩa tách đàn. Để nhất nghĩa đế tức là tức là sự thật tuyệt đối. Sự thật tuyệt đối có thể làm cho người ta
the absolute truth. And the absolute truth
giải thoát được, nhưng mà cũng có thể làm cho người ta bơ vơ.
Sự thật is truth. Sự thật is truth. Tuyệt đối is absolute. Absolute truth. Absolute truth is correct, but it can make people lost. So when we arrive to the teaching of no emptiness and so on, so we have to be careful, humble of yon, and try to look deeper into to discover in which way we can do it. Yesterday we said that this is because that is. It means this is because that is. This is in Agama Sutra.
Nó là một câu nói.
That is a declaration, a sentence.
Nó chưa đi đúng được vào để nhất nghĩa tất đàn. Nó chưa phải là chân lý tuyệt đối.
It's not an absolute truth. It's the normal relative truth. This is because that is. You are so kind and other person's kind. The other person is so bad because you are not very good. So this is because that is.
Và nó có that là cái kia.
This one, that the other one.
Và nó có sự phân biệt. Cái này không phải là cái kia.
And there is a distinction between this one is not the other one. Đệ nhất địa tất đàn, it means the absolute truth. Absolute truth, you must have that this is that.
Cũng như là
that is this. Are one.
Với là bà mẹ.
Like the child and the mother are one. But
có cái danh từ mẹ và con.
Đệ nhất nghĩa that what truth.
Mình nhìn cho kỹ thì thấy có con ở trong mẹ và có mẹ trong con.
If it's relative truth, you say that the child is different from the mother. But in the absolute truth, the mother and the child are one. And you say that the mother gave birth to that child, so it's not absolute truth. But absolute truth is mother and the child are one. Yesterday, Obama received news that he was elected, and he sent to all his friends a message, very short.
là nhờ quý vị hết.
And he said that is happened thanks to all of you.
Thì ông đã dùng cái phương pháp này đó.
He used that method. This happened because thanks to all of you. But he can do better. Thanks to others.
This happens because of you.
This success because of you.
Cái telephone của ông.
And he sent from his telephone. A message from his telephone.
Nhưng mà trong cái đệ nhất nghĩa tất đàn á, thì cái this với cái that nó không phải là hai cái riêng biệt.
And so this and that in đệ nhất nghĩa, that absolute truth, you cannot say like, oh, Mama said that this happened because of all of you and because of one Rome. So, paramita is Balamak is absolutely.
Thì đây là cái phương pháp đầu gọi là 4 tiêu chuẩn về sự thật.
So the 4 criterion of truth.
Đối trị tất đàn và đề nhất nghĩa tất đàn.
Worldly truth.
Nếu mình nắm vững được cái này thì mình sẽ phân biệt được cái điều mình đọc trong kinh nó thuộc về cái tất đàn nào. You know this one, and so when you read the sutra text, you will not be confused. Yeah, this one is because of that is already beautiful, but still it's not the absolute truth at the fourth one. And you arrive to the point that I and you, I do not exist, you do not exist, there is only interbeing. And so when you go to that, you will not be confused. You said, here is the first Siddhanta, is the second Siddhanta, is the third Siddhanta. So you're much less confused when you go into the teaching of the Buddha. Cái phương pháp thứ hai là
the second method is for I mean based on
nương nhờ căn cứ.
For way of based on, for way of basing on,
for reliance,
relying, for relying to, based on, relying on.
Thứ nhất là y pháp bất y nhân.
I mean base. So the first one, y pháp bất y nhân, based on the teaching and not the way of the other person practice. So you listen to the teaching of the Buddha, so profound, but don't base on what people, the person who share to you. They can share very good, but they don't practice. Like when I was in elementary school, and then my school teacher said, you should not wear shoes with high heel. You said talon in English, and but she wear high shoes with high talon. And we don't. And some teacher said he said something wonderful, but he didn't do. And then he said, do what I said, don't do what I behave. And so when you learn Buddhism, and don't be caught by that person, because that person do not practice well, but he knew the teaching. He knew the teaching, but he can put into practice. It's okay to you accept the teaching only. You try not to behave him. So sometimes in the garbage trash, there is one diamond fall into the garbage trash. In order to take the diamond, you have to accept the dirt. And in order to put your hand into the garbage trash to take out the diamond. So that person can be very bad, but he knew, but he behaved badly. And in the past, there is one monk who knows everything. Only one person, he knew all the teaching of the Buddha. But he's not very nice. And many other monks said that if we do not try to be kind to him, and so they asked him to recite everything. So they write down all the teaching of the Buddha, and they said that we will rely on his memories. Even that person is not totally free, and not because of one teacher, and then you abandon that teaching. Even the teacher is not a good teacher, but you should not abandon the journey of your practice. If the teaching is profound, sometimes you abandon Sangha is not because of Thầy, but one teacher, one sister, one sư mẹ, or one sư cha that you don't like, and then you abandon. Nghe chưa? Do you hear me?
Hồi thầy còn trẻ, thầy học cái này, thầy rất là ấn tượng, nó là cái thùng rác.
When I was young, I'm very impressed by even the trash bin is so dirty, but you have to agree to be dirty and try to take the gems out of the trash bin. So, y pháp bất y nhân. In United States, you spoke a lot, and I cannot realize what you said, and I don't believe that. Yeah. So in the West, there is also this wisdom, and you talk a lot, but you don't do it, and so there is an expression "walk your talk." It means that you have to practice what you say. Walk your talk. There is also in China, there is one philosopher called Vương Dương Minh. He said that tri hành hợp nhất, it means your knowledge and your action must be one. Your knowledge and your action must be one. That means also walk your talk. Walk the talk.
Cái sự y cái thứ hai là y liễu nghĩa kinh.
Y liễu nghĩa kinh based on liễu nghĩa kinh.
Bất y bất liễu nghĩa kinh.
Bất y bất liễu nghĩa kinh. Based on the sutra on absolute truth. But don't rely on the sutra on the non. So you have to liễu nghĩa. It means absolute text of teaching of the Buddha. But there is some sutra who are relative only.
Là những cái kinh nó đi với cái đệ nhất nghĩa đế tất đàn.
So the liễu nghĩa kinh, it means that absolute truth go together. Absolute reality, but don't base on the relative truth, because when the Buddha gave that relative teaching, is to relative people who is not really profound. So you have to rely on the real profound teaching of the Buddha Sutra. So like in the Amitabha Buddha Sutra, Sariputra, why do you call that domain? How you call absolute joy? Absolute joy, because in that domain the people only have happiness. There's no suffering at all. In the Pure Land of Amitabha Buddha, there is absolutely joy. That is very appealing. Because
phần lớn của chúng ta là ham tới cái chỗ không có đau khổ.
Because all of us want to come to a place where there is no suffering. It's very adaptable. It's very appealing. There is a domain where you come there, you have no suffering at all. You will be always happy, happy, happy. That is very appealing. But you have to look deeper. Suffering and happiness is entebbe. The happiness is made with the element called suffering. And so that sentence is not absolute truth. In the Amitabha Buddha Sutra, is not an absolute truth. It's not absolute. The sutra of absolute truth. But it plays its role because people like to come to a place where there is no suffering at all. Even it's not absolute text of sutra, but it play the role. And we, in Plum Village, we always learn that suffering and happiness enter all. Without mud, there is no lotus. Without suffering, you never enjoy. We do not say that Amitabha Buddha Sutra is not a sutra. No, it's also sutra, but it's not absolute sutra. That is but finally you have to base on the sutra on absolute truth, but don't base on the relative sutra speaking about relative things. So you have to base on the absolute teaching of the absolute, the teaching of absolute truth. Ý nghĩa bất ý ngữ. So you, via that word, via that expression, you have to catch the deep meaning, but don't be caught by the word by word in. So you have to see deep the meaning, the deep meaning, and don't be caught by the word. You have to see the deep meaning of that, and don't be caught by a few words. Yeah. This is because that is, and then we are caught by the word that thử and be, this and that are contradictory. No, we have to rely on the meaning, but not on the words. And the fourth one, ý trí bất ý thức.
Tức là phải nương vào cái trí, đừng nương vào.
Rely on
tại cái thức của mình đó, nó có những cái vô minh.
The understanding.
Nó có những cái thành kiến.
But not rely on the. Because trí, it means deep understanding, and thức is there's still wrong perception. So trí is clear mind, clarity, total clarity of your mind. It's direct intuition. It's no argument. And so a practitioner must base on your deep understanding, intuition, more than arguing, perceiving, and distinction. And so you base on the deep understanding instead of on the way of arguing, interpreting, and so on. That is a criterion that you need to rely. So save some for next time. 1 hour and a half have passed already. con kéo tay đó, không phải sư cô chống rồi đó, nhưng mà khi mà sư cô chống tức là sư cô làm vậy, tức là không muốn làm, con ép ra để con làm, người ta không muốn.